Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are taking a wildly nostalgic, hilarious, and highly structured trip down memory lane. We're looking at a deeply shared cultural phenomenon, the absolute chaotic reality of Indian childhood summer holidays. If you grew up in India, I bet just the mere mention of summer vacation triggers a massive rush of memories for you. And, maybe a phantom drop of sweat too. We are going to break down the harsh environment, the intense social hierarchies of the streets, and the bizarre compromises we all made that pretty much defined our collective youth. So let's just dive right in and unpack the ultimate survival guide to an Indian summer.
Right off the bat, we have to talk about the stark contrast between expectation and reality. When we watched TV growing up, summer was this idealized, wealthy concept, right? Rich people's summers meant going to these incredible beaches, playing beach volleyball, and just looking flawless. But our summers? Well, the reality was brutally different. It meant the neighborhood transformer blowing out, enduring endless, agonizing power cuts, and just sitting in the dark sweating profusely. We weren't worried about getting a perfect tan. We were legitimately worried about prickly heat, weird fungal infections, and literally peeling ourselves off of sticky plastic chairs. It's the universal middle-class summer baseline.
All right, let's jump into Act 1, the environmental struggle, or as we all knew it, the wrath of the Loo.
Listen, before you could even think about having fun with your friends, you had to survive the ultimate boss battle of the season. So what exactly is the Loo? It was basically defined as this dreaded, almost supernatural summer fever that supposedly strikes the exact millisecond you step out into the blazing sun. As kids, we were taught to fear it like the Grim Reaper. And the defense mechanisms? Completely illogical. People genuinely believed that keeping a raw onion in your pocket would somehow magically ward off severe heat stroke. It was an irrational fear, for sure, but a deeply ingrained one that totally dominated the entire summer narrative.
Honestly, the craziest part is that getting the Loo is actually way less terrifying than the cure. Getting the fever was bad enough, but facing an Indian mother's eccentric home remedies was pure torture. If you got sick, you were subjected to a literal nightmare. We're talking onion juice being squeezed directly into your ear, raw onions being vigorously rubbed all over your body, or, and this is wild, the absolute shock of having a block of ice broken directly over your navel. And of course, you were force-fed endless massive glasses of ampana. The cure was unequivocally scarier than the disease itself. It made the whole environmental struggle deeply psychological.
Moving right along to Act 2, the social battleground, the intense Gully cricket hierarchy.
So, having barely survived the morning heat and the constant threat of onion-based medicine, we transition into the afternoon escape. This is where the real social dynamics of the neighborhood played out on the burning asphalt. But just to get to the pitch, you had to execute a high-stakes ninja stealth mission. It was a rigorous three-step process. Step 1. You had to pretend to be deeply asleep while your mom enforced the mandatory afternoon nap, literally just lying there wide awake. Step 2. The second the coast was clear, you quietly sneaked out, grabbing whatever equipment you owned, maybe a bat, maybe a ball, because let's be real, parents rarely bought you both. And Step 3. Finally, stepping out to face the scorching, soul-sucking sun at 2 p.m., fully risking the wrath of the Loo just to play.
Taking a quick step back here, there's actually a fascinating generational shift in how we spend these intense summer afternoons. Past generations were perfectly content going out and playing with cheap rubber balls, just bouncing them off the scorching street and making the absolute most of whatever little they had. But contrast that with today's kids. The summer is so often lost to endless doom scrolling, extremely high screen time, and digital brain rot. Our generation risked literal heat stroke. Today's generation risks losing their attention span entirely. It's a pretty wild evolution of the summer holiday.
But anyway, back in the Gully, the social hierarchy was completely made up of highly specific archetypes. Take this classic profile, for example, the amulet kid. Every single neighborhood had one of these. This was the kid who always looked like he was covered in a fine layer of cement dust, wore mysterious amulets around his neck, and rocked a severely outdated Justin Bieber haircut. No one actually knew where he came from. He always had his pockets stuffed with random berries or throwing items. And you know what? His absolute favorite pastime wasn't even playing cricket. It was casually teasing the local neighborhood madman until he got chased down the street, a true agent of chaos.
And then, of course, you had the undisputed king of the pitch. I think this quote perfectly captures it. Ranjit Bhaiya will play on my team. Man, the kids would fight over him. Every single Gully cricket match featured this exact guy, the 27-year-old unemployed older brother figure who just inexplicably inserted himself into a game meant for 10-year-olds. In the real world, absolutely no one took Ranjit Bhaiya seriously, but out on the street, among the kids, he was a megastar. He literally used a bunch of neighborhood children to entirely prop up his fragile ego.
Now, you might be wondering, why exactly did Ranjit Bhaiya play so hard? I mean, he treated this children's game like it was the World Cup final. He'd bowl these ridiculously aggressive round-arm deliveries to tiny kids and make these dramatic, one-handed diving catches on solid concrete. Why? Well, it was all because of Nagma Bobby. She was the younger neighbor drying clothes on her terrace. Ranjit Bhaiya was doing all of this intensely physical stuff solely to show off for a girl on a roof, who, by the way, was desperately trying to ignore him while just doing her chores in the blazing heat.
Okay, we literally cannot talk about gully cricket without mentioning this incredibly specific social hurdle, perfectly captured in this dreaded question. Bro, are you a lefty? The very moment a left-handed player took the bat, the entire game just stopped. The whole tone would shift. Being a left-hander in these street games wasn't just a batting stance, it was an open invitation for psychological torment and intense interrogation from every single other kid on the street. And this just brilliantly highlights the sheer absurdity of childhood logic. Left-handed players were subjected to the absolute dumbest hygiene questions imaginable. Things like, do you wash and eat with the same hand? It was relentless teasing. But contrast that playground ignorance with the actual biological facts. Science actually tells us that left-handedness is often determined by which thumb a baby prefers to suck while still in the womb. It's literally a biological trait set before you're even born, yet on those summer streets it was treated like some scandalous, rebellious lifestyle choice.
All right, on to our final act. Act 3, the domestic compromise and the summer class irony.
So, as the sun finally set and the cricket match ended, we entered the dreaded era of the forced summer class. Young boys in these neighborhoods had a serious reputation to uphold. As this quote highlights, the general attitude was very much, we are real men, we like motorcycles and Thar SUVs. There was just so much macho posturing going on. You couldn't be seen doing anything delicate or feminine, or you absolutely risked being utterly banished and mocked by your street gang. You had to maintain this tough guy persona at all costs, 24/7.
But the secret reality behind that tough exterior? It was absolutely hilarious. Despite all the big talk about motorcycles and being tough, some of these exact same boys were being secretly forced by their moms to attend summer mehendi or henna classes. And the ultimate irony here? Imagine getting caught by your gang, only for them to realize you were actually drawing the most beautiful, intricate henna designs in the entire class. That macho persona would instantly shatter, completely replaced by the undeniable fact that you were just a kid following your mother's orders and getting remarkably good at drawing tiny floral patterns.
Which brings us right to the end of our journey through the sweltering, chaotic, and truly beautiful nostalgia of the Indian summer. From dodging the mysterious Lou, to dealing with Ranjit Bhaiya's massive ego, to secretly mastering mehendi art, these shared struggles really shaped who we are. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. What was your most embarrassing summer compromise? Think back to those sweaty afternoons and forced hobbies. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope it sparks some brilliant, if maybe slightly traumatic, childhood memories for you.